The time is just gone 10 minutes past 8 a.m. and we kick off this morning looking at a new report that was published by the Special Investigating Unit, the SIU, showing that a significant number of COVID-19 procurement contracts entered into by the government were irregular. Now, this obviously points to widespread misappropriation of funds. And we've learned about the president authorizing the release of this final report, which came out on the 25th of January. And to unpack this report and related issues, we joined on the line this morning by a profile manager at OUTA, which is the organization undoing tax abuse on state capture. We're speaking with Rudie Heyneke. Rudie, good morning to you and welcome to the show.
Good morning, Inayet, and thanks for hosting me.
Yes, we've learned about more than half of the government's COVID contracts under investigation as being irregular. Now, this is obviously a major concern, but also at the same time, when one looks at this is pathetic. This is at a time when we are in a pandemic, when the country is in a dire situation. And when one looks at COVID contracts in particular, once again, misappropriation of funds, Rudie. Your response to this report that was published?
Yes, it is a shocking results. Very grim picture for the people of South Africa that was painted there by the SIU. And I think more concerning is that this investigation by the SIU was only done on about 10% of all COVID contracts. The total amount of COVID spent was 152 billion rand, and the SIU managed to investigate contracts worth 14 billion rand. So it's just under 10%. And if we look at the results, 60% of those contracts being irregular and sometimes very corrupt, then the remainder of the contract should also worry us. And we expect that there should be more irregularities coming out there.
Well, clearly, and when you're speaking about 10%, so we basically barely scratched the tip of the iceberg, and there could be a lot more shocks coming out, really, if, a lot more of these contracts are investigated.
Absolutely. And, we saw that a lot of these contracts were, or the findings rather, were referred to the NPA for criminal investigation and criminal action to be taken and prosecution. And from the state capture report, we saw the criticism on the NPA, and we are very worried that they will not be able to handle all this work. The bright side of that is that they're sitting here with well investigated reports. The SIU can be seen as the forensic investigator of the government, and at least they do have something to work from, and it's not investigations from scratch.
Yes, it does appear, Rudie, that the evidence as far as criminal liability for these misuse of funds is pretty strong. And the fact of the matter is the president authorized the release of the report, which is one issue. But taking it to another level, taking it a step further, now that this evidence has been handed over to the NPA.
Yes, I think that, with regards to criminal prosecutions, the government should now put their money where their mouths are, and it is the State of the Nation address in a few weeks' time. We expect and we would like the president to make an announcement where they will capacitate the NPA and where they will spend more money on law enforcement and prosecutions. 2 weeks after that, in the budget speech from of the Minister of Finance, we surely hope to see that there will be a bigger allocation. Because the thing is, there are so many young, brilliant legal minds in this country. And we need to get these people, at the NPA so that they can gain experience and skills, because they will be the corruption fighters for the next generation. And that is why we really hope that, the NPA will be capacitated and will get a bigger budget this year around.
Yes, but also at the same time, when one looks at the comments coming through from the President Cyril Ramaphosa, talking about this being an important step in the fight against corruption, both in public and in the private sectors, talking about things like maladministration and those things. And he's saying, that these investigations are targeted against individuals, against institutions who believe that they could exploit the nation at the most vulnerable time. Now, making these statements is one thing, and saying at the same time, in the same breath, saying that how unacceptable that these contracts have been in terms of being illegal, unlawful, and fraudulent. But again, it's all words. And action needs to be taken, because this is where these words need to be translated into action. And this is where I think even the president himself, has found to be, some have basically called him a lame duck president and unable to enforce. And this is what is needed: enforcement. This is absolutely crucial, Rudie.
Absolutely, you are 100% correct. And we will not solve the problem by only throwing money at it, from a budget. We must all work together. Government departments must, come to the party. I can think about, there's a lot of these matters that has been referred to the National Treasury for so-called blacklisting. But we never see that blacklist, the list where names and companies are published that the government has decided not to do business with. And that should be transparent, so that we as ordinary citizens of this country can also see who these people are, so that we can, back down and not do business with them. Because as long as we do business with them, and as long as the government is doing business with them, we aid corruption. That is one thing. The other thing is that, private institutions like the banks, for example, must come to the party as well. It is hilarious to think that, a brand new company that's registered a month or two ago, opening up a bank account, and all of a sudden millions of rands are flowing through that account. It cannot be correct. But the banks do not raise the red flags. They do not report these transactions to the FIC. So it is a collective effort that must be put in, not only from government side, but also from corporate side, as well as the citizens of this country.
Yes, and also I think, apart from obviously putting these people in jail and looking at what was stolen, the recovery of these monies, because this seems to be a very, very sticky point. I mean, we speak about special tribunals and all sorts of things in terms of recovery, and given this mandate to recover money that has been earned through corruption, through fraud, and all these illegal flows of money. But again, we see very little in terms of that money coming back, because these people have got the business, they've got it through illegally, and they're living a wonderful life, they're living a cushy life. None of it is coming back.
Absolutely, and that is a huge challenge. And I think, if we look back at the state capture findings, we saw that a lot of this money is going abroad and going out of the country, and that's why an institution like the South African Reserve Bank must also come to the party and have a close look at all these flow of funds. The other thing that's really worrying for me is that we are, or these culprits are stealing from their own families, from their neighbors, from their co-workers, from the fiscus, because the fiscus money is there to get this country going, and we are stealing that money from ourselves, and that is very concerning.
Well, Rudie, thank you very much for that, and for joining us this morning for the update, and always a pleasure talking with you. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you very much, and once again, thank you for the opportunity.
Rudie Heyneke with us this morning against the background of the SIU report that has come out, where more than half of the government's COVID contracts under investigation were found to be irregular, the percentage being 62%. And as Rudie mentioned, only 10% of these contracts have been investigated. So the picture could be even a lot more serious from what we see at this point in time. We will definitely follow up. The time is just gone, 19 minutes past 8. We come back. We'll be joined by labor lawyer and mediator Patrick Gill, CCMA, ruling that a company's decision to sack an unvaccinated worker has been found to be substantially fair.